You know that saying about how family is supposed to help each other out? Yeah, apparently in my sister's mind, that means I'm basically free childcare until further notice. I'm a 29-year-old woman, single, no kids, and I work full-time in marketing. My sister, Leah, is 34, married, and has 3 kids, 7-year-old twins, Max and Mia, and a 3-year-old named Olivia. I adore my nieces and nephew. I really do. But loving them is not the same thing as signing my weekends away to be their unpaid nanny. It started small. Last year, Leah asked if I could watch the twins just for a couple hours on a Saturday so she and her husband, Tom, could go to a work function. I said sure. Honestly, I thought it'd be fun. We baked cookies, watched movies, and I went home feeling good about being the fun aunt. But the next weekend, she asked again. Different reason this time. She and Tom needed some couple time. I thought, fine, no big deal, I'm not doing much this Saturday. Then it became every other weekend. Then every weekend. And before I knew it, I realized I hadn't had a free Saturday in almost 2 months. I started noticing the pattern. The reasons kept shifting. Sometimes it was errands they couldn't do with the kids. Sometimes it was date nights. Sometimes, I swear, it was just because they wanted to have the house quiet for a while. The thing is, my job can be mentally exhausting. I use weekends to decompress, run my own errands, see friends, or just have alone time. But Leah didn't seem to care. Every Thursday or Friday, I get the same text. You free this weekend? Kids are excited to see you. Which was clever wording because saying no would make me feel like I was letting the kids down, not just her. The real breaking point came 2 weeks ago. I told her I had plans for Saturday, brunch with friends, and then I wanted to go hiking. She responded with, seriously? You can't reschedule? We already told the kids. When I said no, she flat out called me selfish. She said I had no responsibilities and should be helping out family since I have all this free time. That one stung. I work 50 hours a week. Just because I'm not married with kids doesn't mean my time is worthless. This past weekend, I didn't babysit. I spent Saturday reading at a cafe, cleaning my apartment, and going to the movies with a friend. I thought maybe the space would help. Instead, on Sunday, I got a 3-paragraph text from Leah about how I'd let the kids down and how family should be there for each other. She even threw in that mom agrees with her, which, great, now it's a family pile-on. I told her I love the kids, but I can't commit every single weekend to babysitting, especially for free. I said if she needed help once in a while, I'd be happy to, but not as a standing arrangement. She hasn't spoken to me since, except for one icy text that just said, noted. Now I'm wondering if I'm being too rigid here. Maybe I could compromise somehow, but at the same time, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And now Mom's hinting that I should smooth things over because Leah's under a lot of stress. By Monday morning, I was already dreading opening my phone. I knew there would be something, and I was right. Leah had sent another text at 7:02 a.m. If you cared about your nieces and nephew, you'd make time. You're putting your own selfish needs before family. I honestly don't know what happened to you. That one. I stared at it for a good 5 minutes before responding. Then I didn't respond at all. I just tossed my phone into my bag and went to work, hoping ignoring it would calm things down. But it didn't. That night, Mom called. You know your sister's struggling, right? She said in that tone where it's not really a question. 3 kids, full-time job, husband who's working long hours. She doesn't have it easy, sweetie. I leaned back on my couch, pinching the bridge of my nose. I know she's busy, Mom, but so am I. I can't just give up every weekend. It's too much. Mom sighed like I was missing the point. When I was your age, I helped your aunt every weekend when she had little ones. That's what family does. It's not about convenience. It's about showing up. Mom, I said carefully, I'm not saying I won't help. I just can't always help. Every weekend is basically a second job. That's when she dropped it. Leah thinks you're just being stubborn because you don't like kids as much as you say you do. I actually laughed in disbelief. I love those kids, but loving them doesn't mean I owe Leah my entire social life. Well, if you feel that way. Mom trailed off in that passive-aggressive way she does when she's about to hang up. I just hope you don't regret putting distance between yourself and them. Click. For the rest of the week, I tried to focus on work, but it felt like there was this buzzing cloud following me around. Guilt, resentment, confusion. I kept replaying every conversation in my head. wondering if maybe I was making too big a deal out of it. Then Friday night rolled around. I was halfway through making pasta when my phone buzzed. Leah. I didn't even want to look, but my curiosity won. Tom and I have dinner reservations tomorrow at 6. We'll drop the kids off at your place around 5. Not a question, not even phrased like an ask, just a statement. I stared at it for a good 10 seconds before typing back. I'm not free tomorrow. I told you I can't babysit every weekend. Her reply came fast. This isn't about you. We've barely had time together as a couple. The least you could do is help us keep our marriage healthy. Do you want your nieces and nephew growing up in a broken home? That one. I actually had to sit down. She was implying that if I didn't babysit, I'd somehow be responsible for their marriage falling apart. I typed back. I'm sorry, but that's not fair. I can't be your solution every time you and Tom want to go out. You'll have to find someone else for tomorrow. 3 dots. Then they disappeared. Then 3 dots again. Finally, just, wow. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The next morning, around 9 a.m., I heard a knock on my door. When I opened it, there were Max, Mia, and Olivia, backpacks on, looking up at me with wide eyes. Behind them, Leah stood with her arms crossed. I'm dropping them off, she said flatly. We'll be back by 10. And before I could even form a sentence, she turned and walked toward her car. The sound of Leah's tires crunching over the gravel in the parking lot faded, and I just stood there with the kids on my front step, my brain short-circuiting. Max, the older twin by 2 minutes and self-proclaimed man of the house, when Tom wasn't around, looked up at me and said, Auntie, can we have pancakes? Mia was already digging into her backpack, pulling out crayons and paper, like this was just another Saturday at Andy's. Olivia toddled in behind them without even waiting for an invitation, dragging her stuffed bunny by the ear. I closed the door slowly, my heart pounding. Guys, where's Mommy going? Date night. Mia said cheerfully. It's morning. I pointed out, even though I knew exactly what was happening here. Date day, Max corrected, as if that explained everything. I took a deep breath and reached for my phone, my hands already shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. I called Leah, no answer. Texted her, no reply. I even tried calling Tom, and it went straight to voicemail. For a split second, I considered marching the kids right back to her house. But it's a 20-minute drive, and I'd never forgive myself for putting them through that back and forth. They didn't ask to be pawns in whatever game Leah was playing. So, I made pancakes. The thing is, I can't just turn off being the fun aunt when they're around. I sat with them, listened to Mia tell me about her art project, let Max show me how he could now almost whistle, and helped Olivia glue paper shapes onto a construction paper crown. But the whole time, my mind was boiling. By the time 10 p.m. rolled around, there was still no sign of Leah. I'd texted her again at 6:45. When are you coming to get them? No answer. At 8:30. Leah, this is not okay. You can't just leave them here without asking me. Read receipt, but no reply. At 9:15. If you're not here in 30 minutes, I'm calling you every 5 minutes until you answer. Finally, at 10:04 p.m., I heard her car outside. The kids were already in their PJs, teeth brushed, backpacks by the door. She walked in like nothing had happened. Thanks, she said, not even meeting my eyes. They were good, right? I stood there, arms crossed. Leah, you cannot just drop them off like that. I told you I wasn't free today. She gave this little laugh, not a funny laugh, but one of those patronizing ones. I knew you'd be here. You never do anything important on Saturdays. And the kids love you. What's the problem? The problem, I said slowly, is that you didn't ask. You just decided my plans don't matter. That's not okay. Her eyes narrowed. Wow. So you'd rather have sat here alone doing whatever than spend time with your own nieces and nephew? That's not what I'm saying, and you know it. But she was already turning to the kids, ushering them out the door with exaggerated cheerfulness. Come on, guys. Andy's tired of you. Let's go home. My jaw dropped. Are you kidding me right now? No answer. She just smiled that tight, fake smile and left. I thought maybe she'd cool off and we could talk it out. Instead, the next morning, my phone blew up. Not from Leah, but from Mom. What is going on? Leah said you refused to watch the kids, and then were rude to her when she picked them up. She's upset, and the kids are confused. This is not the kind of aunt you said you'd be. And then, from Dad, who almost never gets involved. You're making things harder than they need to be. Just help your sister out. It's one day a week. One day a week. I didn't even know where to start explaining that one day had already turned into every weekend, and now, apparently, it didn't even matter if I said no. That Sunday night, I sat in my kitchen staring at my phone, debating whether to send Leah a long, point-by-point text or just block her for a while. But then I got a notification that changed everything. A mutual friend, someone I went to high school with who's still close to Leah, posted a status. Crazy how some people can't be bothered to be there for family. Kids remember that stuff. 3 likes. 1 comment. From Leah. A simple, exactly. I wish I could say I ignored that Facebook post and went about my life. But the truth is, it ate at me. It wasn't just the words. It was the fact that Leah had liked it. She didn't tag me, but she didn't need to. Everyone who knew us would figure it out. Our circles still overlap a lot, thanks to growing up in the same town. By Monday, I'd already had 2 coworkers ask, in that I'm totally not being nosy way. Hey, everything okay with your sister? Saw something on Facebook. I brushed it off. Family drama. You know how it is. But inside, I was boiling. Leah knew exactly what she was doing. I debated texting her to call her out, but every draft I typed came off too defensive, too emotional. Exactly the reaction she wanted. So I deleted them. Tuesday night, though, I got another curveball. My phone buzzed. It was my cousin Emily, who I haven't been super close with lately, but who's always been pretty level-headed. Hey, she started cautiously. I just wanted to ask, is everything okay between you and Leah? She mentioned you've been distancing yourself from the kids. I blinked. Distancing myself? What? That's what she said. That you've been pulling away and it's hurting them. I just thought maybe I'd check in before I heard it all secondhand. I had to laugh, but it wasn't funny. Emily, I've been watching them almost every weekend for months. The only reason I haven't lately is because I told her I can't do it every time. She's mad because I set a boundary. Emily sighed. That's not how she's telling it. Of course it wasn't. After that conversation, I realized Leah wasn't just venting to me or Mom. She was laying groundwork, making herself look like the overwhelmed, abandoned mom, and me the selfish single sister who couldn't be bothered. By Thursday, I decided I needed to get ahead of it. So I called her. She answered on the second ring, voice icy. What? I took a deep breath. Can we talk? About what? You know what? This, whatever's going on between us, is getting out of hand. You're telling people I'm pulling away from the kids, and that's not true. There was a pause. Then she said, if you don't want people to think you're selfish, maybe stop acting selfish. I almost hung up right there, but I forced myself to stay calm. Leah, I have no problem helping you out sometimes. But you're asking me to give up every weekend, for free, without asking. That's not reasonable. You think paying you would make it okay? She shot back. Because I can't afford to pay you what you'd want. It's not about money, I said, my voice sharper now. It's about respect. I need my own time too. She laughed, short, bitter. You don't even have kids. What do you need time for? And there it was. That sentence that kept floating back to me in different forms from Mom, from Dad, and now from her. You don't have kids, so your time isn't valuable. I told her, that's exactly the problem. You think my life doesn't count because it's not like yours. Silence. Then she said, fine. I'll find someone else to watch them. Don't expect the kids to understand why you don't want to see them anymore. Click. She hung up. I sat there with the phone still in my hand, my stomach twisting. This wasn't a compromise. This was her weaponizing the kids against me. That weekend, I didn't hear from her at all. No texts, no calls. But on Sunday evening, my phone pinged with a notification, a photo on Facebook. It was the kids, all dressed up at some ice cream shop, big smiles on their faces. The caption read, making new traditions when old ones fade away. In the comments, someone had written, where's Annie? Leah replied, busy. The thing about Leah is she's not the type to leave things alone. Even when she says she's done, she's really just planning her next move. The following Saturday, I decided to make myself scarce. No lazy morning in bed. No sitting around my apartment where she could coincidentally show up again. I grabbed my laptop and went to a cafe downtown to work on a side project. Around 11 a.m., my phone buzzed. A FaceTime call from Mia. I answered instantly. Hey, kiddo. Her little face filled the screen, framed by those messy Saturday morning pigtails. Auntie, why don't you come over anymore? It was like being punched in the chest. Sweetheart, From somewhere off-screen, Leah's voice floated in, overly cheerful. Tell her we miss her, Mia. Mia turned the camera, and there was Max, waving, and Olivia bouncing up and down, yelling, Annie, come play. My throat tightened. I miss you guys too. I really do. Then come over, Max said matter-of-factly. I swallowed hard. I can't today, bud. I've got stuff I need to do. Olivia's smile dropped instantly. You don't like us anymore? That broke me. Oh no, no, no. I love you so much. This isn't about that. And then Leah's voice again, quieter this time but still audible. Okay, kids, let's not beg. Auntie's too busy. The screen went dark. Call ended. I sat there in the middle of the cafe, my coffee going cold, feeling like my heart had been wrung out. It was so obvious what she was doing, planting the idea in their heads that my absence meant I didn't care. And kids don't see the politics. They just see the empty seat at the dinner table, the missed playdates, the aunt who used to be there every weekend and suddenly isn't. That night, I called Mom. Mom, I can't do this anymore. I blurted before she even said hello. Leah is turning the kids against me. Mom's sigh was heavy, like she'd been expecting this. Honey, she's not turning them against you. They're just confused. You used to be around all the time, and now you're not. Because I told her I couldn't give up every weekend. Maybe you could compromise. Every other weekend? I clenched my jaw. Mom, I tried that. She pushed it right back to every weekend. And when I said no, she just dropped them off anyway. You know that's not okay. Well, Mom said, voice sharp now. Maybe you should remember that you're lucky to have nieces and nephews who want to see you. Some people don't get that chance. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so far from the point. This isn't about being lucky. This is about boundaries. She doesn't respect mine. Mom's voice softened, but it felt rehearsed. She's under a lot of stress, sweetie. You're single. You don't have kids. You have more flexibility than she does. Maybe just think about it. Think about it. That's Mom speak for, you're not changing my mind. By Monday, I decided I needed to stop letting this play out in texts and phone calls. I needed to talk to Leah face to face, without the kids, without the audience of social media. I texted her, can we meet for coffee? Just us. To my surprise, she agreed. We met at a little cafe halfway between our places. She walked in wearing sunglasses even though it was overcast, her lips pressed in a thin line. No hug, no small talk. Okay, she said, sliding into the chair across from me. Say what you need to say. I took a deep breath. Leah, I love your kids. I will always be in their lives. But I cannot be your default babysitter every single weekend. I need time for myself. That doesn't mean I don't care about them. It means I'm a person too. She didn't blink. So this is about you then. It's about both of us. I've been helping a lot. But you're taking advantage of that. Dropping the kids off without asking. Telling people I'm pulling away. That's not fair. Her mouth curled into this cold little smile. You think I'm taking advantage? You think I owe you something for watching your own nieces and nephew? That's not what I said. She leaned forward, her voice lowering. You think you know what stress is? You have no idea. You sit in your nice apartment with your coffee and your little hobbies while I'm drowning every day, and you can't even give me one day a week. Pathetic. I stared at her, stunned. I had never heard her talk to me like that. And then, just as I was trying to form a response, she dropped the real bomb. You know what? Maybe you should just stay away. If you can't show up for them the way I need you to, then maybe you shouldn't be in their lives at all. When I walked out of that cafe, the air felt heavier than it should have. It wasn't just the weather, though the sky was that flat, gray kind that makes everything look like it's under a filter. It was what she'd said. Maybe you shouldn't be in their lives at all. That sentence kept replaying in my head the entire drive home. It's one thing to be mad at me. It's another to threaten my relationship with the kids. They're not just her children, they're my family too. And I'd been there since day one. I was in the hospital when Max and Mia were born, holding them before they'd even opened their eyes fully. I was the one who drove Leah to her OB appointments when Tom's work schedule got crazy. I was there when Olivia had RSV as a baby and Leah hadn't slept in 36 hours. I took a shift so she could crash for a few hours. And now, because I won't be her on-call, free-of-charge weekend nanny, she's implying I don't deserve to be around them? I got home and just sat on my couch for a long time, staring at the wall. I think part of me wanted to cry, but I was too angry to let myself go there. My phone buzzed. Group chat. Family. Mom. Dad. Leah. Me. Mom. Leah said you two met today. I hope you came to your senses and worked things out. I typed, deleted, typed again. Me. We talked. But I'm not changing my mind about every weekend. A minute later, Dad jumped in, which is rare enough that I knew this was serious for him. Dad, she's your sister. She's asking for help, not a kidney. It's 1 day a week. I don't see the big deal. Me. Because it's every week, Dad. I have a life too. Leah. Oh, here we go. The victim act. I could feel my pulse in my ears. Me. This isn't me playing the victim. It's me saying I have boundaries. Mom, boundaries are fine. But don't be surprised if the kids feel like you've abandoned them. I had to put the phone down before I threw it across the room. The next few days were tense. I didn't hear directly from Leah, but I knew she was still stirring the pot. Emily texted again, saying she'd heard more about what happened and that people were starting to think I was just being stubborn to make a point. I didn't ask who people meant. I didn't need to. By Thursday, I decided I couldn't just let her control the narrative anymore. I wasn't about to go posting cryptic Facebook statuses, but I could talk to someone who might actually understand. So I called Aunt Carol. Carol's my mom's older sister, the family peacemaker. She's been through enough drama with her own kids to know when someone's being unreasonable. When she picked up, I just spilled everything. From the first time Leah asked me to babysit, to the weekends stacking up, to her showing up uninvited, to the FaceTime call with the kids, to that awful cafe conversation. When I finished, there was a long pause. Then she said, "Sweetheart, I believe you, and I think your sister is crossing a line." It was like taking a deep breath for the first time in weeks. But, she added gently, you need to decide how far you're willing to take this. Because if Leah's threatening to cut you off from the kids, she might actually follow through. And if you push back too hard, your parents might take her side just to keep the peace. I hated that she was right. Saturday came, and I decided to stay home. I made a point of not reaching out to Leah, figuring maybe a little space would cool things off. Around 3 p.m., I heard my phone buzzing in the kitchen. It was Mom. I almost didn't answer, but then I thought maybe she'd have come around. No such luck. Honey, she started. We're all going to Leah's tonight for dinner. Why don't you come? I hesitated. Is this actually dinner? Or is this going to be an intervention about babysitting? Of course it's dinner, she said, too quickly. I almost said no. But then I thought about Aunt Carol's words. Decide how far you're willing to take this. Maybe showing up and keeping my cool would help prove I wasn't the unreasonable one here. When I walked into Leah's house that evening, I could feel the tension before anyone spoke. Tom was in the kitchen, pouring wine. Mom was on the couch with Olivia in her lap. The twins were sprawled on the floor, playing a board game. Leah came out from the hallway, smiling that tight, hostess smile. Oh, look who decided to come. Hi, I said, forcing a smile. Dinner was fine at first. Tom made pasta, the kids chattered about school, and I thought maybe, just maybe, we could get through the night without drama. Then, halfway through dessert, Leah set her fork down and said, So, have you decided if you're going to start being part of this family again? The table went silent. I swallowed. I never stopped being part of this family. I just said I can't babysit every weekend. Her eyebrows shot up. Wow, still on that. Tom sighed. Leah, maybe now's not. No, let's talk about it, she cut him off. Because apparently, she thinks her Netflix time is more important than helping me keep my marriage together. I froze. Excuse me. Mom put a hand on Leah's arm. Honey. No, Mom. She should hear this, Leah said, turning back to me. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find time alone with Tom? To actually reconnect? And here you are, refusing to give up one measly Saturday for your own nieces and nephew. My voice shook, but I kept it steady. Leah, you can't blame your marriage problems on me. Her face went red. I'm not blaming you for all of it. I'm blaming you for making it worse. The kids were staring now wide-eyed. I pushed my chair back. I'm not doing this in front of them. But Leah didn't stop. You know what? Forget it. If you can't be there when we need you, then maybe you don't deserve to be there at all. The words hung in the air like a slap. The drive home from Leah's felt longer than it actually was. My mind kept circling the same 3 images over and over. Max's eyes darting between me and Leah, Mia's little hands frozen on her fork mid-bite, and Olivia's confused frown when Leah said maybe I didn't deserve to be there. Kids remember that stuff. They might not understand all the words, but they feel the shift. By the time I got home, it was almost 10 p.m. I sat on my couch in the dark, my phone still in my bag. I didn't want to see any more group chat messages or Facebook posts. I just wanted silence. But silence is dangerous when you're already wound up. Every time I thought about Leah's tone, the smug, self-righteous edge, my chest tightened. The next morning, I decided I couldn't just leave things like that. I wasn't going to let my relationship with the kids be defined by Leah's version of events. So I texted Max from my own phone. I'd given him an old iPod Touch a couple years ago, so he could message me through Wi-Fi. Me. Hey buddy, want to hang out today? Just you, Mia, and Liv? About 10 minutes later, he wrote back, can we? Me, of course. I'll come pick you up. He didn't reply right away, but I figured maybe he had to ask Leah. I was halfway into making coffee when my phone buzzed, but it wasn't from Max. It was from Leah. Leah, are you seriously going behind my back to make plans with my kids? I froze. So she had intercepted. Me. I just wanted to spend time with them. This isn't about you. Leah, everything about my kids is about me. That's how parenting works. Me. They're my family too, Leah. Leah, and if you really cared about them, you'd respect the fact that I don't want you confusing them right now. Me confusing them? I'm their aunt, not some random stranger. Leah, you walked out on them last night. My hands clenched around the phone. Me. I walked out on you. Not them. She didn't respond right away. Then, we'll talk when you're ready to apologize. I didn't reply. Instead, I called Aunt Carol again. She's cutting me off. I told her. She's literally telling me I'm not allowed to see them. Carol was quiet for a second. Then she said, that's not just petty, that's manipulative. She's using them as leverage. Exactly, I said. And I can't just wait for her to be in a good mood again to see them. Carol hesitated. Do you want me to say something to her? I thought about it. Having Carol intervene might calm things down, or it could make Leah double down even harder. Not yet, I said finally. But if this keeps up, I might need backup. By mid-afternoon, I was pacing my apartment. I hated feeling powerless. I hated knowing the kids probably thought I'd just dropped out of their lives. So I made a decision, probably a reckless one. I drove to their soccer game. I knew the twins had a rec league game that day. It wasn't about babysitting, just showing up as a family member. And legally, there's no reason I can't be there. When I got to the park, I spotted them on the field immediately. Max in his red jersey, Mia with her bright pink headband. My heart swelled just seeing them. They saw me too. Max waved. Mia grinned and ran over to the sidelines for a quick hug before the coach called her back. For about 15 minutes, everything felt normal again. Then I heard it. Wow, you just can't help yourself, can you? I turned, and there was Leah, arms crossed, sunglasses pushed up on her head. I came to watch their game, I said evenly. You came to make a scene, she shot back. You think showing up here is going to make me forget how you've been treating us? I kept my voice low. Leah, this isn't about you. I'm here for them. She stepped closer. No, you're here to make yourself look good. To make the other parents think you're so involved. I wanted to scream. Do you hear yourself right now? A couple of parents were glancing over, pretending not to listen. Leah noticed too, because she suddenly straightened up and put on a smile like we were just chatting about the weather. Don't show up to things uninvited, she said through her teeth. Public park, I reminded her. She leaned in so close I could smell her perfume. Try me, and see how fast I can make you the bad guy. Then she walked off toward the bleachers. The rest of the game, I stayed quiet. I clapped when the kids scored, waved when they looked over, but didn't go near Leah again. Afterward, the twins came running up to me. Auntie, did you see me score? Max asked. I did. You were amazing, I said, crouching down to his level. Mia hugged me hard around the waist. Come over after. Before I could answer, Leah appeared, resting her hands on their shoulders. Say goodbye to Auntie. We have plans. Max frowned. But, say goodbye, she repeated. They did, reluctantly. I watched them walk away, a lump in my throat. When I got home, there was a message from Aunt Carol. Carol, I ran into Leah at the store. She told me you ambushed her at the kids' game. I don't know how much longer she can spin this before people start catching on. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Carol was right. Maybe Leah was pushing so hard that others would start to see through it. But then another message came in from Mom. Mom, Leah told me you showed up at the game to provoke her. This needs to stop. And just like that, the hope evaporated. I didn't sleep much that night. I lay there in the dark, staring at the faint orange glow from the street lamp outside my bedroom window, replaying the soccer game confrontation over and over in my mind. Leah's fake smile for the other parents. Her voice, low and sharp, "Try me, and see how fast I can make you the bad guy." I wasn't sure if she meant she'd tell more lies, or twist more truths, or both. Either way, I believed her. She'd already been doing it in slow motion for weeks, planting seeds, letting them grow, then acting like she had nothing to do with it. But now she was getting bolder, confronting me in public, talking about me openly enough that other family members were checking in to see what was going on. It was only a matter of time before someone I cared about started believing her version over mine. The thought that really kept me awake, though, wasn't about me. It was about the kids. Max asking me if I saw him score. Mia hugging me so hard my ribs ached. Olivia's confused little voice on FaceTime asking if I didn't like them anymore. If Leah kept controlling the story, they'd grow up thinking I was the one who pulled away, that I chose Netflix or me time over being in their lives. And I couldn't stomach that. By morning, I made a decision. No more vague texts. No more one-on-one calls that could be twisted. No more maybe it'll blow over. If Leah wanted to play this game in front of everyone, then we were going to have the conversation in front of everyone. And this time, I was going to set the scene. I sent a message in the family group chat. "Me, we need to talk. All of us. In person. No excuses. Mom, is this about Saturday? Me, it's about everything. Dinner at my place tomorrow night. I'll cook." There was a long pause. Then, "Dad, fine. Leah, I'm busy." Me, "Then reschedule. This is important." She didn't reply. But an hour later, Mom texted me privately. "She'll be there." The next day, I spent most of the afternoon cooking. Not because I thought the food would fix anything, but because I needed something to do with my hands. I made baked ziti, garlic bread, and a big salad. Easy comfort food, something no one could complain about. By 6, the table was set. At 6:15, the doorbell rang. Mom and Dad were first, walking in with polite smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. Dad went straight to the fridge for a beer without asking, which was on brand. Leah and Tom showed up at 6:25. The kids weren't with them. My stomach sank. I'd hoped they'd be here to at least see that I wasn't the villain their mom made me out to be. "Where are the kids?" I asked. "At my friend Jen's," Leah said smoothly. "Didn't want them around for whatever this is." I almost said good, because last time you screamed at me in front of them, but I bit my tongue. We sat down. Plates were filled. For the first 10 minutes, we talked about nothing. The weather, Dad's latest golf game, a new coffee shop Mom liked. Then I set my fork down. "Okay, here's why I asked you all here. I'm done with the way this has been going. Leah, you've been telling people I'm pulling away from the kids, that I'm refusing to help you, that I'm selfish. I'm here to tell you, and everyone else, that's not true." Leah leaned back, crossing her arms. "So this is just a chance for you to play the victim?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No, this is me telling my side before you erase me completely." Mom frowned. "Honey, no one's erasing you." "Yes, Mom. She is," I said, my voice shaking but steady. "It started with occasional babysitting, which I was happy to do. Then it became every weekend. Then it became dropping the kids off without asking. And when I said I couldn't commit to that anymore, she started telling people I didn't care about them. She FaceTimed me with the kids to guilt trip me. She made comments in front of them about me being too busy. She told me maybe I shouldn't be in their lives at all." Leah rolled her eyes. "Wow, dramatic much?" Tom spoke for the first time, quietly. "Leah, some of that did happen." She shot him a glare. "Whose side are you on?" "I'm not picking sides," he said, looking tired. "I'm saying, maybe you're not seeing how it's coming across." That was the first crack in her armor. I leaned forward. "I love those kids. I would do anything for them. But I'm not their parent. I work 50 hours a week. I need time for myself too. That doesn't make me selfish. It makes me human. And the way you've been talking about me, Leah, is making it impossible for me to have any kind of healthy relationship with them or with you." Silence. Dad cleared his throat. "Look, I get both sides. Leah needs help. You need your own life. Can't you just work something out? Maybe commit to 1 weekend a month?" "That's fine with me," I said immediately. "It's always been fine with me. What's not fine is being told my life doesn't matter because I'm not a mom. Leah opened her mouth, then closed it again. Mom finally spoke. Leah, is that true? Have you been saying things like that? Leah shrugged. I might have said she doesn't understand what it's like to be a parent. That's not the same as saying I have no responsibilities, I said, my voice rising. But you've made it sound like my time is worthless. And you've been telling people, even the kids, that I'm too busy for them, when the truth is I said no to being your every weekend babysitter. For a moment, no one spoke. The air felt thick. Finally, Tom sighed again. I think maybe we've both been handling this badly. I looked at him, surprised. He'd never stepped in before. He went on. Leah, we've been leaning on her a lot. More than is fair. And you've been using the guilt thing. I've seen it. Leah's jaw tightened. So now you're ganging up on me? No, he said. I'm saying we can't keep doing this. It's not good for the kids. It's not good for anyone. In that moment, I realized two things. This wasn't going to end with Leah apologizing. I might never get the apology I wanted, but I could still draw my line and keep it. I looked at her and said, here's my boundary. I will babysit once in a while. I will never commit to every weekend. If you drop the kids off without asking again, I will call you to come get them immediately. And if you keep telling people I'm pulling away, I will start correcting the record, publicly. Her lips thinned, but she didn't speak. Do you understand? I asked. She finally nodded, curt. Fine. We finished dinner in near silence. When they left, Tom gave me a small nod, almost like he was apologizing without words. After the door closed, Mom turned to me. That could have gone worse. I laughed, short and humorless. That could have gone better too. She didn't argue. That night, lying in bed, I felt lighter. Not happy, not resolved, but lighter. I'd said what I needed to say. The ball was in Leah's court now. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. People like Leah don't just back down. They wait. They find new angles. And if she decided to test me again, well, this time, I'd be ready. When I saw Max's message, Auntie, can we see you Saturday? Mommy said it's your choice now. I didn't reply right away. Not because I didn't want to see them. God, I wanted to. But I also knew that text didn't just come from Max. I could practically hear Leah's voice behind it. Tell her it's up to her now? It was a subtle move, but it had all the hallmarks of Leah's style. Make it seem like she's giving me control, but really, she's shifting the responsibility and the potential guilt onto me. If I said no, it would be my choice that I didn't see them. If I said yes, it would be under the shadow of her framing. Still, I couldn't punish the kids for the politics between their mom and me. Me, of course. What do you guys want to do? Max replied almost instantly. Can we come to your house? I hesitated. The last time they'd been at my place, Leah had used it as a way to trap me into an all-day babysitting session. But if the kids came here, I'd have home court advantage, and I could set the time limit. Me, sure. How about 12 to 4? I'll make lunch. No reply from Max, but a few minutes later, Leah texted me directly. Leah, 12 to 4 works. I'll drop them off. No emojis. No extra words. Just business. Saturday morning, I went into fun aunt mode, but with boundaries this time. I cleaned up the living room so there was space for them to spread out their toys, set out some art supplies on the kitchen table, and prepped a simple lunch, grilled cheese, fruit, and some cookies I'd baked the night before. At exactly noon, there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, the kids barreled in like they'd been holding their excitement in all morning. Max immediately launched into telling me about a school project he was working on. Mia twirled around to show me her new sparkly sneakers. Olivia clung to my leg for a hug, her bunny under one arm. Leah stood in the doorway, arms crossed, sunglasses on even though it was cloudy again. They've been looking forward to this all week, she said, like it was an accusation and a compliment rolled into one. I nodded. Good to hear. She glanced past me into the apartment, taking in the art supplies, the cookies cooling on the counter. Just remember, 4 o'clock. I remember, I said evenly. Her eyes lingered on me for a second longer before she turned and walked away without another word. The afternoon started out perfectly. We built a blanket fort in the living room, complete with fairy lights I'd dug out of my closet. Max and Mia drew elaborate maps of Fort Auntie, while Olivia busied herself with stacking plastic cups into wobbly towers. At one point, Mia looked up from her drawing and said, I like it better here than at Babysitter Jen's. I blinked. Who's babysitter Jen? She's mommy's friend, Max said. She watches us sometimes when you don't. Oh, I kept my tone light, but inside, my stomach twisted. So Leah had found someone else, which was good, because it meant she wasn't completely reliant on me. But the way Mia had phrased it, I couldn't tell if she meant it as an innocent observation or if it was something Leah had encouraged her to say, knowing it might get under my skin. Jen's okay, Mia added, but she doesn't make forts. That made me smile. Well, forts are kind of my specialty. We took a break for lunch around 1:30. The kids devoured the grilled cheese like they hadn't eaten in days, chattering over each other about school, friends, and a new movie they wanted to see. Halfway through, Olivia looked at me very seriously and said, "Mommy says you're really busy now." The way she said it, almost like she was checking if it was true, made my chest ache. I've been busy sometimes, I admitted, but I always want to see you guys. Always. She nodded slowly, like she was filing that away. Then she went back to eating her grapes. I could feel Max and Mia watching me, though. They didn't say anything, but there was a flicker of something in their expressions, curiosity, doubt. That made me think Leah's narrative was still floating around in their heads. After lunch, we played a board game, then curled up in the fort to watch a movie on my laptop. About halfway through, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from Leah, "Everything okay?" I stared at it for a second. We were barely 2 hours into the visit. Was she checking in because she actually cared, or because she was hoping for a problem she could swoop in to solve? Me, "Everything's fine. We're watching a movie." She didn't reply. At exactly 3:58, I started helping the kids pack up their things. I wasn't going to give Leah any reason to say I tried to keep them longer or make her wait. When she arrived at 4 o'clock on the dot, she didn't come in. She stood in the doorway, sunglasses still on, and said, "Ready to go?" The kids all groaned in unison, but they hugged me before they left. Olivia whispered, "Can we come again?" And I told her, "Anytime your mom says yes." That last part wasn't for Olivia. It was for Leah, who gave me a brief, unreadable look before herding them down the hall. After they left, I sat in the now quiet apartment, feeling both warm and unsettled. Warm because I'd had a great day with them. Unsettled because I could still feel Leah's presence in the room, like a shadow hanging over the visit. It wasn't lost on me that she'd essentially approved this time together. And as much as I wanted to believe this was a step toward normalcy, I knew it was still on her terms. Sunday evening, Aunt Carol called. "So, how'd it go?" I told her about the visit, about the little comments from Mia and Olivia, about Leah's on-the-dot drop-off and pick-up. "It sounds better," Carol said cautiously. "Better, sure," I said, "but not fixed. She's still in control, and the kids are still hearing her version of things." Carol sighed. "Do you want my advice?" "Always. Don't fight her on every little thing. Just keep showing up when you can. Let the kids see for themselves that you love them. Eventually, that'll matter more than whatever she says." I wanted to believe that. I really did. But later that night, scrolling through Facebook, I saw Leah's latest post. A good mom protects her kids from toxic influences, even if it breaks her heart. No photo, no tags, just that. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. "You're such a strong mama. Your kids are lucky to have you. Cutting people off is hard, but sometimes necessary." And there, buried in the middle, one from her friend Jen, "You're doing the right thing." I stared at the screen for a long time. She was still doing it. Still painting me as some vague, toxic influence, without actually naming me. Just enough to keep the sympathy rolling in while keeping herself unaccountable. When I saw Leah's text, "We're taking the kids to the park. Do you want to come?" I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't want to. I wanted to see them more than anything. But after everything that had happened, the guilt trips, the comments, the constant feeling like every interaction was a test, part of me wondered if there was an angle I couldn't see yet. I sat with it for a minute. Then I remembered Max's face lighting up at the soccer game, Mia's arms around me when I'd seen her last, Olivia's little voice asking if I didn't like them anymore. I wasn't going to let my suspicion rob me of time with them. Me, sure. "What time?" She replied, 2 p.m. No emojis. No extra words. When I got to the park, the kids spotted me before I spotted them. Max was halfway up the jungle gym, waving both arms in the air. "Auntie," he shouted, like the distance between us was 100 yards instead of 20. Mia abandoned her swing in mid-motion. My heart jumped into my throat. and ran straight for me, her new sparkly sneakers flashing in the sunlight. Olivia, with her ever-present stuffed bunny tucked under one arm, squealed and toddled so fast her little legs wobbled dangerously. I dropped to my knees just in time for all three of them to crash into me. Max was talking a mile a minute about something he'd built with Legos. Mia twirled once to show off her shoes. Olivia shoved her bunny in my face like it was the greatest gift she could offer. I pulled them all into a hug, breathing in the smell of sunscreen and grass. I missed you guys so much. When I looked up, Leah was standing a few feet away, sunglasses on, hands loose at her sides. She gave a small nod. Hey, I said, matching her neutral tone. The kids pulled me toward the swings first. Max wanted to push me, which lasted all of 30 seconds before he decided it was way more fun to have me push him super high. Mia twisted her swing chains so she could spin herself, laughing so hard she almost toppled off. Olivia was content in the baby swing, giggling every time I made a silly face. We moved to the jungle gym, where Max insisted on demonstrating every possible route across the monkey bars. Watch this, he called before dropping into a dramatic superhero landing. Mia plopped down beside me on a bench, cheeks flushed pink. I told Mommy you should come, she said, a little conspiratorially. She said maybe. I smiled. Well, I'm glad she said yes. Olivia wandered over with a fistful of dandelions, her bunny hanging by its ear. For you, she said solemnly. I acted like she'd just given me treasure. These are perfect. She beamed and skipped off. Later, we walked to the duck pond. Tom helped the kids toss crumbs to the ducks, while Leah stood next to me. For a moment, it almost felt like before the dropped-off weekends, before the social media posts, before everything got so sharp. I appreciate you coming, she said quietly, eyes on the pond. I appreciate being asked, I said. She didn't reply, but the silence wasn't barbed. It was tentative. By the time it was almost 4 p.m., the kids were dragging their feet. Max tried to negotiate for 5 more minutes. Mia clung to my arm, whispering stay longer. Olivia wrapped herself around my leg like a koala. As we walked back to the parking lot, Mia slipped her hand into mine and whispered, I'm glad you're here. That tiny sentence landed harder than anything else had in months. Because the joy in their faces, the weight of Mia's hand in mine, the way Olivia's laugh still echoed in my ears. This was why I'd been willing to stand in the storm. Not to win points, not to prove I was right, but to keep these moments safe. It's been 3 weeks since the dinner at my place. Things with Leah aren't perfect. I don't think they will be for a long time, but they're better. There's a fragile civility where before there was constant friction. She hasn't asked me to babysit since the park. I've seen the kids twice, once for ice cream, once for a movie in the blanket fort we built in my living room. We haven't revisited the fight, and maybe that's for the best right now. There's more space between us. Not the cold, resentful kind, but the kind that lets people breathe. And there's a subtle but undeniable shift. I'm no longer treated like a resource that's always on call. I know Leah hasn't completely changed her mind about me. I still catch hints in her tone sometimes, little reminders that she probably still thinks I have it easy. But the thing is, it doesn't matter as much now. Because I know my boundaries are valid, and I'm not afraid to keep them. I love those kids with everything in me. I will always show up for them when I can. But I won't disappear into someone else's expectations just to make things easier for them. Some people would call that selfish. I call it finally knowing where I end and someone else begins. And that's not just enough for now. That's something I can live with.